Hi, I'm Kim Pia. I'm the studio manager and a teacher here at Blue Door Yoga and Wellness.
Hi, I'm Nicole Hodges, and I'm a student at Blue Door Yoga and Wellness, and just recently went through yoga teacher training here.
So it's so good to see you, Nicole. I haven't seen you in a little bit.
It's really good to see you.
I know. It's been a crazy time. How have you been holding up?
Okay, I mean, with things how they are, it's just one foot in front of the other and breathing.
Totally. Which is like one of the core tenets of yoga. So I just have a few questions for you today. What year did you graduate from Blue Door's yoga teacher training?
I graduated this year, 2020.
Which was crazy because you got thrown for a loop a little bit, and we can talk about that later. But yeah, a crazy time to kind of graduate into
Yes.
teacher training.
For sure.
Yeah. But I kind of want to start from the beginning.
Okay.
So just a few simple questions. How long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing yoga on and off for several years, but I didn't seriously start practicing maybe until 2018 or 19 here at Blue Door with Jesse, and so I think that's really when my practice started to take off.
Mm-hmm. And then, why did you decide that you wanted to do a teacher training?
I was actually coaxed by a very good friend of mine who, was not going to let it go. She said, "You need to do this." And after being here at the studio with Jesse and with you, it just felt right. The stars kind of aligned. I didn't really have anything else on my plate, and my heart was just sort of grabbing for it. It was time.
Yeah. So can you say a little bit more about what drew you, like specifically to doing Blue Doors training?
Absolutely. I think the very first thing was the fundamental side of it. The alignment and body awareness are bar none. There's nowhere else where I have at least seen where you get so much attention to detail when it comes to your body and how your muscles move and where your body parts need to be in order to do things safely. And with that, you also got the philosophy side, which was presented in a way that wasn't scary or overwhelming. It just really made sense. So as you were going through your practice or just even a regular class, everything weaved together so seamlessly, there was no question that I would have gone anywhere else.
So you got that from Jesse's and Barbara's classes?
100%.
So with that, I know that you've already mentioned philosophy and alignment, but I'm opening this question to really like any aspect of the training. What was your favorite aspect of the training?
My favorite aspect of the training? There's so many parts. If I had
say as many as you want.
If I had to pick just, I think it's really started with Jesse and Barbara and the group I was with. And then going down from there was how they started with the philosophy and how much philosophy we got. I think most people who take teacher training that I, at least who I've spoken to, didn't or don't get the same amount until their 300 hours. So we got so much information and so much reading and so much knowledge and things to put our hands on and really dive in and talk about each week that really just left you hanging on and hungry for more. And that was probably one of my, which surprised me because I thought I was going to go more towards the actual physical practice side, and the philosophy really just kind of hooked me, and I fell in love even more. The other parts that I just was so excited about was all the different modules and how they were so tastefully put together, one week leading into the next, how we went from anatomy and really getting a solid base, and then learning more about, diving into just our shoulders and following from people like Nikki Estrada, who taught us how to teach beginners, and then Aaron Cookston, who really, taught us how to get really deep into things. And you taught us all kinds of things to be more aware of how we're mindfully moving our bodies. I mean, my brain is like exploding right now. There's so many different things that we went through each week. It was perfect in my eyes.
So you enjoyed like the aspect that there were like other guest teachers that came in and different perspectives.
Absolutely. I think it really broke it up. It really showed you how diverse yoga is. And Jessie had the perfect way to tie it all together to show, yeah, this is yoga, but there's a lot there, and it's okay to feel all this out and really bring it all in, and kept it all in this container, but really saw that there's so many other sides, to not get so stuck in one area or just be stuck on your mat.
Mm-hmm. So you were like relatively new to practicing on a regular basis when you started the training, right? Because you had maybe been doing it for like a year and a half?
A year solidly.
Yeah, a year solidly. So did you do it because you knew you wanted to teach, or because you wanted to learn more about yoga and really deepen your knowledge of the practice?
My initial going into it was to really deepen my practice. And I've always liked teaching and coaching. It's always been a part of my life. So it was natural that they kind of went hand in hand. So my initial was to go in and deepen my practice, and then as I went in, it's like, I could really see more of myself teaching.
Yeah. So are you teaching, or is it your intention to start teaching?
I'm not teaching in a studio, and I think that's given the current pandemic that we're living in. Yeah. But I am teaching some private lessons, and I am doing some different events with some girlfriends. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you say a little bit more about that?
I can't right now. I wish I could.
Okay, well that's cool. So you are using your knowledge from the training, and you've taken it and started to run with it, although probably in a different way than you expected to.
Completely different way.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that it was interesting because I think the pandemic hit, the shelter in place hit, what was it, like right before the last weekend that we were supposed to have in the training. So we ended up doing the last weekend of the training online, which everyone I think was very graceful about that because it was new to everyone. But I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to your experience of how it was to go online.
So having no expectations when we first went online, it didn't really seem odd. I mean, it just was, this is what we're doing because this is where we're at as a nation. So when we went online, it was a little bit funny to kind of watch or try to convey what we wanted to show to our classmates when we were teaching to the class or when we were given specific instructions. There was a little bit of difficulty, but overall, the message that was trying to come across from Jessie and Barbara was clear as day. It's just like being in the studio, and the practice with you was clear as day. We were able to move without issue or question. I think the only things were just kind of getting used to a new way of communicating with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting because this training is very alignment based, so it's a lot of cueing, like as you know, which is mostly verbal, right? I think it's kind of stressed that like you're not relying super heavily on demonstrating. Am I wrong about that, or is that kind of what it's about?
Completely.
So it's interesting because maybe, and tell me what you think of this, like maybe it kind of forced you to get with the verbal cues a little more solidly.
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on moving your butt, like being seen as much if you're online.
Right. Yeah. And I think that you hit the nail on the head. That was completely it. The only thing to add to that was when you're in the studio, you get to actually see everybody at once. And when we were looking, and I think this is as being a new teacher or as a student, you're so focused looking at each little person on the screen.
Right.
It was really kind of hard to decipher, or which cues do I give are the correct ones, because I'm only looking at this person, so I don't know how to open my eyes yet to everybody on the computer, which is going to be a learning experience.
And given that that might be your new normal, I mean, maybe that was a beneficial thing to do.
Right?
Yeah. Super interesting. So I'm just wondering, like, what some of your biggest takeaways from the training was?
My biggest takeaways, how and when to move. At the same time, what I'm doing with my body, and taking that to be able to verbalize out loud to teach somebody else. And that's what I took away as far as teaching and communicating those specific things to not cause injury, and to really look at somebody's body and say, this is, you can do this without, pressuring or pushing or moving too fast or too slow, and allowing them to have space and feel comfortable. And I think that was a very new thing for me, is to really give somebody else the space, and not just like it has to be one way and you're right here, because it's not. Every body can do yoga, but every body's going to look a little bit different, and that's absolutely okay. So that was a big takeaway. On the philosophy side, I learned so much. I mean, I'm still reading today. I mean, we're jumping. As a book club, we're reading the yamas and the niyamas, and so everything still feels so new and so fresh. I feel like I've just barely tipped on this little teeny tiny iceberg, and that there's so much more, that my heart is like constantly like beating so fast because there's more information that I want. But so taking away this like big aha of yoga is not just moving my body. Yoga is how we live. Yoga is just slowing down and breathing and taking time for ourselves, and to appreciate the health and wellness of our own being, and sharing that with other people.
So would you say that it like kind of ignited a hunger for more?
Yes.
Awesome. That's super cool. I feel like that's probably most people's experience with the 200 hour. It's just like it's an appetite whetter. You just want more after that. That's really cool. So where do you see yourself going in your yoga journey from here?
Just keep moving forward. I'm hungry for more information. I really want to dive into the 300 hour. That's really where I want to go next. Like, I'm ready. I want all of the information. I want more yoga. I want more philosophy. I just want to learn more. I just want to take it all in.
So, being that you kind of just graduated and you're in the first few, months of being a YTT graduate, what advice would you give someone who is either thinking about doing a program or is in the middle of a program, and how they could get the best out of it?
Be prepared to do work. And be prepared to do some soul searching. And it's a real internal process just as much as it is an external process. So be prepared for everything that comes along with that, and really want it. If it's something you're just doing to do, you're not going to take anything away from it. So if you are in teacher training, or you want to go into teacher training, do it because it's your journey and it's right. You are going to gain and take away so much if you do.
That's a really good note to end on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nicole.
You're welcome.